This is the DIY Tool Shed Podcast, hosted by the DIY guy, Tony Sandoval, the place where we make things happen and get things done. Here to help you build things, make things, do things. We are creators. We will be creative. You can't stop us. Hello, bench dogs. It is me, Tony Sandoval, the DIY guy, the SOB. I am here again. Got something new to share with you. What we're going to do here is, this is a whole new introduction to a whole new extra episode during the week. Because what I've wanted to do is try to get a couple things to happen. First of all, I love talking about tools. Tools are so awesome. But I like talking about projects and things to do and the work we do and fixing things and making things and the people who do things. I want to talk more about those. But I also want to kind of keep them to separate but not separate. They're all part of the same show. But I don't necessarily always want to mix them all up in the same episode. So I kind of want to split things up a little bit, and we'll add an extra episode during the week. This should have been done on yesterday, Wednesday, but it isn't. I did it today on Thursday. And the reason I mention that is because normally I'm going to be doing this on Thursday. So look out on Wednesdays, Wednesday evenings. Look for a new episode dropping every week on Wednesdays. What are we going to be talking about? I'm going to be talking about tools, mostly. Sometimes a specific brand, like a tool review, or a tool in general, like an overview. I was going to do this on writing, the written articles. I was going to do some videos. And I'm sorry, but my schedule just does not allow it. I'm a truck driver during the day. I fix stuff and do repair and handyman kind of stuff and try to keep my own house from falling apart during, every other time. I something's gotta give, so I can't do all three things. So I'm going to focus on the podcast, but we're going to talk about this a little bit more often. I can squeeze in a weekday episode. We're going to specifically talk about tools during the week. And that leaves me on Saturdays time to free up to do a live recording episode where we talk to people, we talk about things, where I can get y'all to download that Podbean app. Download it, install it, and then listen on Saturdays, 3 p.m. every Saturday, every 3 p.m. on Saturday. You listen, get the app on there, and you can call into the podcast live during the recording. But on Wednesdays, it's just going to be me sitting here, not a live recording. I'm going to record this, just sitting here and sharing a little bit of information about tools and brands and tool reviews and tool overviews and tool stuff and tool talk, because it gives me an opportunity to break it down a little bit more. Okay? So we're going to have a little fun. Now, I've really been wanting to talk about the what's called an oscillating multi tool. I wanted to do a review on the Worx brand oscillating multi tool. I was going to do video, I was going to do the write-up, and I decided I just didn't have the time. But let's keep it within the whole audio realm of the podcast, and let's go ahead and do it anyway right here, right now. Just like this, and I'll tell you all about it, okay? First of all, what is an oscillating multi-tool? I have been asked this question more than once, even by some people who I would have thought knew. They're kind of at, that home user, DIY, even pro level, and they're really not sure still. I mean, they've been out for a long time, but they're still not sure. What is an oscillating multi-tool? Well, from what I've read, and I could be wrong, but from what I've read, an oscillating multi-tool started, I think, by the Fein company. Fein is a German tool maker company. And they started with a drywall tool all the way back in like 1976 or somewhere back like that. And and they created a drywall cutting tool. Okay, it was corded back then, of course, but basically it allowed to cut out the holes in the in drywall sheetrock and whatnot to put in your switch boxes and outlets and things like that. It allowed drywallers to cut those out really nice and neat. Okay, and they built and built on this until they came up with the oscillating multi-tool. Now, I happened to buy one. I bought a Fine brand one. And it's got like it's heavy, and it's a heavy duty. This is definitely a pro level tool. Fine does not make DIY or entry level craft, hobby level tools. Fine only makes pro job site level tools, quality tools. Okay, but I was doing job site stuff. I take bees out of walls, roofs, you name it. If bees aren't supposed to be living there, honeybees, even bumblebees, but I don't have to use a tool to do this, or at least an oscillating multi-tool. But honeybees like to live in walls and roofs and all that. And it's always tricky getting them out because you can't just use any tool. You damage the nest, and you don't want to damage the nest. So I'm always looking for this tool way back. This is like 10 years ago. I'm thinking like 2010 I got this thing because I'm working on a job site where I'm trying to get these bees out of a mausoleum. It's a fake mausoleum out of one of them Halloween, it's a farm, and he's got during Halloween, all of October, and he's got all of these haunted house, and he's got these attractions, and one of them is a shed, basically, that they made to look like a mausoleum. It's got a vampire sitting in a coffin inside there. Okay, well, he calls me up, the guy that owns this place, and says, hey, we got honeybees in the mausoleum. Get out there, and sure enough, they got two fake columns on the outsides, and the bees are in one of the columns, one of the fake columns. They're inside there. You don't want to cut in to the nest. You don't want to destroy the nest because that's where all the baby bees and all the stored honey is. So you can't go in too deeply. And at the same time, you don't want to use too much power. You got to have just enough power. And you don't want to really agitate or irritate them because, bees are they get grumpy enough as it is. Trust me on this. You don't want to go ticking them off. Worse. And certain tools will actually, if they vibrate, cause a vibration, can actually almost it's like have a calming effect on bees when you're opening up, whether like in a log or something. I've used chainsaws, and it seems to have had a calming effect while you're getting into the wood down to the empty core where the nest is, and as soon as that vibration starts, it actually starts calming them down. Whether it's because it's sending the bees to, they're panicking and let's go, we gotta go eat honey and be ready to move out and bail and all that. I don't know what the total effect is, but the vibration seems to cause them to calm down in a lot of cases. So I get this multi-tool, and I'm like, okay, here's a tool that you can really control the depth, you can really control the precision with which you cut. Really thin cut lines, really narrow, shallow cuts. It seemed almost perfect for what I was looking to do. Okay, 10-foot long cord. I always carry, 50 and 100-foot extension cords anywhere. Anyways, 12 gauge, thank you very much. And you will never catch me with a working extension cord that's not a 12 gauge, okay, or bigger, thicker wiring. Won't do it. But anyways, so I get this tool, and it's got just tons of blades on there. And at the time, I was still new to it, so it's got blades for multi-tool's got blades for cutting wood, all kinds of wood. It's got a blade that's supposed to be for cutting metal and wood, or metal embedded in wood. So like basically you're cutting through wood that's got nails in it or staples in it or something like that. So it's wood and nails. So it's got a blade designed to cut through that. It's got blades to cut through tile and glass, and it's got blades to that are not so much a blade, it's like a scraper. It's like a super scraper, power scraper. Like you get wood glue. I get wood glue stuck on stuff, or you get something, gum, or the glue, the adhesive underneath a carpet, old floors. You get this adhesive and it's stuck to the bottom floor. You want to scrape this up without doing too much damage. The scraper attachment blade is, man, perfect for that. But at the time, I was really concerned with cutting through wood and nails, so I focused on the one set of blades, type of blade that cut through wood and nails, and that was where most of my attention got on. And I fell in love with an oscillating multi-tool. This is a tool nobody should do without. Everybody should have one, because there's so many opportunities, so many different kinds of blades and functions you could use it for. After you use it for one thing for a while, you start, well, what about this one? And you start looking for stuff to do with these things. You know what I'm saying? So I fell in love with this tool. But it's got a 10-foot cord, and I'm going to be honest, when you're playing with bees and you're taking bees out of places, there's not always a place to plug in an extension cord or even a 10-foot short cord. There's no place to plug in any cord unless you got a portable generator with you. I've been out to barns. I've been out to, just out of nowhere land, and having to take bees out of walls and roofs, and I got nowhere to plug in. I got to go use a different tool, or use hand tools or something. And then, of course, just within a few past, 4 or 5 years or so, we have the advent, the bringing in of battery-powered tools. And the first ones were kind of clunky and chunky. You remember the first battery-powered tools you got, don't you? And they were thick and kind of awkward looking, and even kind of awkward feeling. But then they started refining the batteries, and the batteries, instead of just going dead from sitting there, you had lithium batteries, lithium-ion batteries, and they started lasting longer. And they started being able to power more and pack more power into them. And then this brand of lawn garden tools is what they started off with, called Worx brand. It's a Chinese company, Positech, based in China, and they put out the Worx, Worx, Worx brand. And I've seen infomercials is how they started advertising. I read up on it a bit, and basically they started out making tools for other brands, but the guy that started the company really wanted to have his own brand. He wanted to set out and make his own name for his own line of own brand of tools. So he was very innovative and had a lot of ideas, and said, I don't want to just make tools for other people and just make tools. I want to make a tool with a brand that people are going to, just like the old Craftsman. He wanted a brand that had an intent. People, that's the one, okay? So, and then, of course, this is based in China. Now, I don't know what everybody thinks. I think it too. You think China, production, you think crappy tools, you think crappy construction, crappy made, but it doesn't have to be that way. There are Chinese-made tools and products that actually are very well made. The company has to believe in what it's doing, though. The company has to have ideals and values, and it has to say, no, we're going to be on the world market. We're not just going to make a tool, any tool. We want to make this. And the guy, Positech, that runs Positech, they also bought Rockwell. They bought the Rockwell brand name. They didn't buy the product line. They brought the name, because Rockwell used to be known for high quality tools, and he wanted to make a pro level tool line, and he took it to Positech, and Positech said, hey, we got this Worx, and it's going really well, and it's geared towards the DIY. And so they ended up taking the Rockwell name too. So they own both Worx and Rockwell. Now, coming back to the Worx brand, I'm looking around and I watch I've already gotten some of the yard tools. I got a weed whacker and I got some other stuff from them tool wise, yard tool wise, and I really liked them. I liked them a lot because I like battery powered tools that I don't have to plug in or put gas in or whatever. Just charge it up and go. So then I seen the infomercial and the ads for the oscillating multi-tool. I'm like, I have an oscillating multi-tool, and I love my fine oscillating multi-tool, but my fine oscillating multi-tool requires an extension cord, and I don't always have a place to plug in an extension cord, so it would really be cool to have an oscillating multi-tool that was battery powered that I could take out in the field with some charged up batteries already pre-charged up, get the job done, and if it took more than one or two batteries to do it, I've got a bunch of batteries. That's the thing I've talked about before. When you buy a cordless set, a battery powered tool brand, battery powered tool set, you're investing in the tool brand. Okay, you're investing in the battery set is what you're investing in, because that battery is shared to all the other tools. All the tools use the same set of batteries. I can unplug it from one, plug it directly into another. It's beautiful how that works, but batteries are not cheap. It's like printer ink. You buy printers dirt cheap, and the ink costs an arm and a leg, because that's the way it works. Well, with battery power tools, it's the same thing. I don't care what brand you get, Bosch, Milwaukee, DeWalt, Ryobi, you pick one, it's the same thing. Once you invest, Festool, you name it, Worx, you buy the battery set, the chargers, oh my God, you pay so much for the batteries. You pay so much for not just any charger. You want to get a rapid charger. And then you want the dual rapid charger. And then you don't want just the 2 amp hour batteries. Now you got 4 amp hour batteries because you want them to last longer and have a little more oomph into them power wise. So you start buying these batteries and these chargers, and pretty soon you're like, well, I got all these batteries. I might as well get some of the tools that they power besides the 1 or 2 I already got. Now you're buying more tools, and that's how they get you. And we talked about that before. But so I'm already invested in the battery set for Worx, right? Because I've got these yard tools. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I got the batteries, and I really like my fine oscillating multi-tool. It does really good job at helping me get bees out of funky little places. So I went ahead and I ordered one. I'm thinking, okay, well, it's a DIY home user marketed brand as it is. So I got it, and I've had this one now, I think, I don't know, about 3 years now. I got the Worx brand one. It came with the same set of kind of blades. It does all the same attachments, pretty much the same way to attach as my fine did. So I could literally use the blades from my fine tool on my Worx tool. So it works out really well that way. It's nice being flexible, not just with the batteries and the tools and all that, but just I can use from one to the other. If I'm not using that, I can pick one up. Oh, I need 2 more of these. And I just use the ones from my fine or whatever. I can buy one set of blades and transfer back and forth. So that's an oscillating multi-tool. You do all kinds of stuff with it. Okay, that's what I do with it. Mostly, I started out using it to take bees out of walls and roofs and stuff. That's what I do, and I still use it mostly, largely for that. But in general, I've used oscillating multi-tools about half the time, and about the other half of the time, maybe a little more than half, I'll use I have a what do you call them? I'm doggone, I hate when I can't remember the doggone. A Sawzall. Okay, but not a Sawzall, not necessarily the brand, but okay, Sawzall. I've got a Milwaukee old corded Sawzall from used to be my dad's. This thing won't die. This thing is so tough. But I've got other ones. I have a Worx one too. So between Sawzalls and the oscillating multi-tool, this is how I take pallets apart to build things out of pallets. I build shelves, I build cabinets, I build all kinds of stuff with pallet wood. Um, and so I use an oscillating multi-tool because it will cut through nails that attach the boards together. It will cut into the wood. Oscillating tools are great for like working with trim. If you're doing flooring, if you're doing wood trim around doors and windows, you need to notch, cut, just unimaginable. You're doing flooring, you need to, cut off a little bit here, cut off a little bit there, cut a hole here, just trim a little there. These things are wonderful, not only because they're versatile, but also because you can use them just in tight spots. Here, oh, bam! I need one right here, and I need to do this quick. Bang! It's portable. It's right there. You don't have a cord you're dragging around. It's at hand. You know what I'm saying? And that's the beautiful thing about these kind of things. They're at hand. Boom! Use it. They got that nice, small, tight, thin blade. You get into places. You can get it into cubby holes and into wall openings and different places like that where you may not get a bigger or different kind of tool, and you can make your cuts and notches and trim things up where another tool might not work. So they're really great for that. I have not used for grout and tile. I don't do a lot of tile work, to be perfectly honest. Mostly because I'm a bull in a china shop, and I swear to God, I break more than I fix. I don't know what it is. That's not my realm of work. But you can do that. You can cut tile and grout and, do a lot of work with that tool. It comes with the. Now, I have used the scraper. I use a scraper more than I care to admit because I'm always scraping up stuff. But you know what I use the scraper for a lot more than anything? Not just scraping up glue and adhesives and bubble gum under stuff things. I use the scraper attachment to scrape out propolis, which is in a beehive, out of beehive boxes. So I'll go to clean up old hives and stuff like that, and the bees have got this really sticky, tarry, and when it gets cold or cool and it gets really hard and solid, it's like embedded into the wood practically. And it's just so hard. They make it so hard to get this stuff off because propolis really is bee glue. But the scraper attachment on one of these things, and you put that on an oscillating multi-tool, man, that propolis don't stand a chance. Clean them boxes up like new. I'm telling you now. Love it. Love me the scraper attachment to clean out beehive boxes that have got propolis stuck all over in them. Or any other part of a beehive that's got them, not just the boxes, the bottoms, the lids, you name it. Bees will put it there. I need to clean it off. Scraper attachment gets it done. So, metal and wood blade and scraper attachment is probably what I use mostly on these. There's a semicircular saw blade for cutting through I really don't recommend cutting through anything bigger than 1x dimensional lumber. You get 1x boards because you build your beehive boxes for the most part out of 1x's. I would not use these on 2x anything, 2x4, 2x6 foot, unless you're just using it to cut a notch into a 2x. Now, if you're going to cut a notch into a 2x, these are good for that. But for regular cutting, no, forget it. Don't even. That's not what they're made for. Okay, get yourself either a regular circular saw or a compact circular saw, and you can start messing with the. Depending on the compact circular saw, anyway, you can cut into 2x material. But these are mostly made for 1x or smaller, and I mean usually more often than not even smaller than 1x. So, like I said, trim, that kind of stuff, thin stuff, small stuff. But up to 1x, it works just beautifully in. Okay, so that's what I do with it for the most part. How does the Worx? I got spoiled. I got spoiled by my fine corded one because it's just awesome. Oh my God, I love that tool. Fine, anything I can find, fine is if I fanboy over any tool brand. I mean, I'm a Bosch. I'm partial to Bosch. I'm partial to Craftsman. Well, the old Craftsman, anyway. I'm very partial to Worx now. You could almost call me a fanboy, but I can admit when they get it wrong. Okay, so I'm not so fan about it that I won't yeah, they don't do that very well. Uh, but fine, oh my God. Uh, I can't find anything wrong with fine tools. I just can't. German engineering, man, I'm telling you, they've got that to the point of perfection. Don't mess with my fine tools. Telling you. So I love my fine tools. I love my fine oscillating multi-tool, but it's corded and I can't take it out into a field where there's nowhere to plug it in. So how does Worx stack up to the fine, which is definitely pro-level quality, job site quality tool? How does the Worx brand battery powered stack up to that? Well, let me tell you. First of all, it ships. You can get it bare tool, which means no battery. You can get it with a battery, and when they do ship with a battery, they ship it with a 2 amp hour battery, which is their low level entry. This is the basic battery you get, is a 2 amp hour 20 volt battery. Okay, it ships with that. Without the battery, it's not bad. It's a little off balance towards the front because the motor is at the very head, like pretty much all of them. So it's a little off balance. But once you put the battery pack in, a 2 amp hour battery, mind you. 2 amp hour battery balances it out fairly well, if not a little bit more to the back. But actually, I like it balanced a little more to the back because it gives me more. I'm not pushing so hard, at the front. I mean, it gives me more opportunity to control my cuts at the front. Okay, that little bit, tiny little bit of weight, extra weight at the bottom where the battery pack sits. Now, it's plastic, it's metal, it's rubber. It I've got it in my hand, by the way, so you're hearing clicks and stuff like that. It's because I'm playing with it as I talk to you. It's all three. So I mean, it's a plastic and rubber casing. But there's a lot of metal just underneath, especially around the motor. So I guess it's metal where it counts. The plastic, I mean, I have dropped this thing because I am a klutz, and I will admit it. Don't forget, I'm a bull in a china shop, and I always have been. I'm not a little person. 6'4", 300 plus pounds. You can't get me to walk through doorways normally. I can't. People want to just bull in a china shop, and that means handling tools too. I got big hands. I got a size 16 ring. Okay, I do not have little hands. I can palm a basketball. So I like a big tool. It's a barrel grip type of tool, and it feels good in my hand. I've talked to people who have normal people hands, and they say it still feels pretty comfortable to them. For the most part, I haven't yet met anybody who complains about the feel of the tool in their hand. But I swear they designed it for my hand. It fits perfectly in my hand, and I love that. Like I said, I love how the weight balance is. It's multi-speed, so you can control. It's variable speed 1 through 6. It's a little dial towards the bottom middle, closer to the battery pack, I guess. But it definitely works. It's got little stop catches for each speed, so you don't just dial through it. You stop, click on that actual number, and that's where your speed control is. So you get, depending on the material you're working on, depending on the type of blade you're using, you want to go faster, you want to go slower, so you have variable speed control. And it's like I said, it's right there. Almost, I mean, I can just kick my thumb down a little bit and turn it. I mean, it's not in a bad place. It really isn't. But then it's not, when you're regular using it, it's not in a place where you're going to accidentally change the speed on yourself either. So, I mean, it really is, I like the placement of the variable speed. It's really nice. The power button is at the bottom back by the battery, and again, it's not in a place where you're going to accidentally turn it off, turn it on. Once you turn it on, it's on. Once you slide it back and turn it off, it's off. Your hand is, like I said, when you're cutting and it's in a position, you're really not touching it, so you're not going to accidentally turn it on or turn it off. on yourself while you're in the middle of working or something, unless you really screw up, which is something I can do. I do that all the time. I mean, I screw up stuff like that all the time because I got big hands and I'm a bull in a china shop, or a bear in a china shop, whatever you want to call it. The batteries, like I said, batteries are weighted pretty well. They're shaped. I love the shape of the batteries. They configure in really nicely. They don't look awkward or chunky or blocky or chunky. They are. Now, they're not the snuggest, tightest fit. When you click it in there, it moves a little bit, slightly. But even, I mean, I can turn it on, and no matter how I move it to show the little bit of wiggliness, it never disrupts the connection. So even though it's not the most snug connection, the way it's made is made to maintain the contact anyway, apparently. Because I don't like the sound. That's probably the one thing I dislike, is I don't like when I'm moving and I can hear that rattle. I like a snug fitting battery. I don't like it sliding and moving around. But it doesn't seem to be a problem for it. So all in all, it's got this orange and black, which is the Worx kind of color. It's all right. I'm not a big orange fan. I don't like orange. I don't like green, and apparently that's what most companies decided they want to make the colors of their tools, is orange and green and neon yellow, and I don't know. Anyway, but it's okay. And like I said, the texture, all of the areas that are rubber are the orange parts. The plastic is black, except right where the palm part is over the power switch. That is also rubber, but it's black. So it doesn't slide around in your hand. I mean, it really doesn't. It's pretty well ventilated. This is, you know, that word. Words of words. Anyway. You use a hex key to put the blade off and on. It's not the snap back. Now my fine has the little snap lever on the back. So you just snap it, pull the pin on the front out, you take the blade off, put it on, put the pin in, pop it in there, snap the lever down, and it's great. But the Worx one, you need a hex key, and you got to turn and crank and turn and crank. Now, I know they've got a newer version, the Sonic Crafter, which I believe was based on the Rockwell version, the Rockwell Sonic Crafter, and basically, like a few other tools recently that Worx has come out with, it's basically the same tool as the Rockwell. It's the same design, different color. That's it. Different name, different color, same design. So the more modern oscillating tool by Worx, the Sonic Crafter, has the lever instead of a hex key. So if you're looking to get one of the new ones, got the easier attachment using the lever instead of a hex key. I got their first run out with these, and it uses the hex key. But that's not a problem because all my life I've used hex keys, so it's really, I'm used to it by now. You know what I'm talking about? So that's the overall. How does it work? How well does it work? Okay. That's the big question. That's the 24.5-cent question. And again, this is going to vary because your blades, you know, again, you've got your bimetal blades, which are kind of more on your cheap end. So if you're cutting the metal and wood blades like I use for the most part, they got the bimetal, which is okay. But then you can get, you know, better blades, better quality blades. And so the better quality of the blade, the better it's going to work because you're letting the blade do the work, which is the way it should be. Diablo has really, really, really good oscillating tool, multi-tool blades. You want to get some good blades, get a Diablo. Even they're bimetal, and all their other ones, the better ones, all are great. But anyway, pressure. How much force do I have to exert to do something? Like, so if I'm cutting through wood and metal, do I have to use the same amount of pressure, less pressure or force, or more pressure or force than I do with the fine? Same blade, same material. And the answer is going to be I have to use a little more pressure. a little more force with the battery powered versus the corded powered. Okay. Now, oh hey, by the way, I remember the word brushless. Okay, they have brushless motors becoming more and more popular, and they're actually a little more. They're a little stronger. They provide more force, and they use battery power better. Brushless motors, I think, all in all, are just a better motor nowadays. But this is still a brushed motor, and it does not have corded, what they refer to nowadays as corded power. Okay, because corded power is measured in amps. And most corded tool battery or motors are a little higher power because they're run by, that kind of thing. It can handle a little more power. So my fine cuts with more power, a little more power than this Worx brand. The Worx is marketed as a DIY home user, high-end DIY brand. My experience with it is almost as good as the fine. Now, it's a fine 250. So the 250 level of the fine Multimaster is oscillating tool is the low end of their pro tools. Okay, this is kind of like their entry level of their pro tools. The Worx battery powered is one step below that in terms of how much power it has, how much force I have to exert to get the tool to do the same job as the fine. I think that's pretty darn good for a home DIY user. Okay, that's really good. So, I'm impressed by a DIY home level tool that has the same, and it's like I said, it's a brushed motor. It has almost as good a power, not quite, but almost as good a power as a corded pro level tool, job site level quality tool. So for me, I'm like, this could really be a entry level tool for somebody like, somebody's an apprentice. They just started working as a plumber, electrician, or even in, framing and all that, and they need to get a tool to get started working in. They can't afford, the big actual, job site or pro level tools, but they need something to get started and something that's going to be reliable and do the job well enough until they can afford the pro level tool because they're making pro level money. To get to that point, I say the Worx could be an entry-level job site tool. It really could. I mean, they're going to want to get the job site. Like I said, they're going to want to go and get a Bosch. They're going to want to get a Hilti or a Festool or a Milwaukee DeWalt. They're going to want to get a job site quality tool, but this will do the job, and it definitely will do the job for most, just most any DIY or home user need. It definitely has that mid-level, that DIY home user level covered. You're not going to be wanting for a lot. I have not found myself for stuff around the house, working on fixing things and doing whatever, beehives, making beehives, taking bees out of walls and roofs. I cut through roofing. It does everything I want it to do. Maybe not quite as fast, not quite as effortless as the fine, but it's not so far off that it makes it can't do it kind of a thing. It's does the job just fine. I've never felt the urge, I can't use this, I got to go get the next level up. I've never felt the need, okay, just be a little more patient. Takes me like an extra, 0.15 seconds, I don't know. I like it. So, definitely that mid-level, that home DIY category, definitely that average Joe to entry-level, pro-level user knowledge, experience, ability, expectation. It works in that range between the two there. I know a lot of pros who have the same thing, the Worx, and they like it just as well, you know. And they're with the newer ones with the brushless motors. These guys are telling me that the newer ones with the brushless motors, the Worx brand, are job site quality, despite being marketed as DIY home level. They are job site quality. They use them every day. So, um, you know, I got first edition kind of stuff here, but the newer ones, especially being the brushless motors, are supposed to be really, really awesome. How many Bs? I have a B rating system: 1B, 2B, 3B, 4B, 5Bs. 5Bs would be perfect. Got no regrets. It exceeds all expectations. I covered this, I think, in a previous episode. Uh, I say this is a 4B tool. I have a hard time giving any tool 5Bs because not. I mean, that would essentially be a perfect tool. And I don't even give my fine a 5Bs because it has a cord. Okay, if I was to get one of the fine cordless and it worked as well as I've heard they work, that would be a 5B tool for me. But with a cord, it's still a 4B because it's not as versatile as where I need it to go. I need it to be out in the field where there's no place to plug it in. So there you go. But the Worx, I give it a 4B. I think as a DIY home user marketed tool, it is definitely meets all the expectations I have from its durability. Oh my God, the durability on this thing is awesome. I have dropped this thing from like 15 feet off the ground, picked it up, still running. I mean, yeah, meets all expectations. I have no real regrets, nothing serious. I mean, the battery, like I said, it slides that little bit. It maintains connectivity. It never falters in its operation because of the sliding. The connection is not super snug, but I still, it's kind of a regret. It's not a real regret because it doesn't really impact its performance. But, so yeah, definitely 4Bs. This is one of the turnaround tools. This is what really made me start looking at Worx as a serious tool. When I got this and I seen how well it performed when I'm 35 feet up in the air cutting through a soffit to get to bees, and I drop the sucker on scaffolding and it falls down, racket, and I go pick it up and it's still running. This I knew was a tool that was worth the money. And for a DIY marketed tool, that is phenomenal. So, definitely a 4Bs tool. I recommend Worx, not just because, not I'm really trying to be a Worx fanboy, but because I've seen it. Like I said, I have abused this thing, and it still keeps going. So yeah. Maybe even a 3.5, and only say a 3.5 is because it doesn't have the power. But then again, what did I really expect from it, So I'm still more stuck towards a 4 because my realistic expectation, it definitely meets them, if not exceeds them slightly. So there you go. That's about all I can give to you without becoming too redundant, too repetitive. But I love this thing. It has outperformed. In many ways, it performs exactly the way it should in most ways, and you will love it if you get one. So there we go. That is the weekday episode, knocked out, the first one. I hope you found it somewhat interesting. Leave a message. Hey, we're on MeWe, by the way, our homepage, our home site. Get on MeWe and look for the main page. It says right there, it's the D.I.Y Tool Shed page. There's also a DIY group. The group just mostly for chit chat. That's for everybody to get in and throw their own 2 cents in. What are you working on? Hey, I made this, I did that. So there's a sharing group. But if you want to find out and comment on the podcast, you got to go to the page, not the group. Come over to MeWe. MeWe is so sane. It's so awesome to be able to just not have stupid and insanity online on social media. It's just talking about the podcast. Um, you'll love it there. Come to MeWe. Come to the DIY Tool Shed Podcast page. Get the Podbean app. Install it on your phone so you can call in on Saturdays or message directly to the show, like texting message, using the app there. Leave a message behind. You can usually just leave a message on my podcast page wall. Follow the podcast. Become a follower. I need followers. Y'all my bench dogs. You must support my work, right? That's what remember we covered this the one episode. You bench dogs support the work in progress. That's you. You're my bench dogs. Okay. Anyway. Thank you all. I appreciate, as always, that you did listen, that you came and hung out for a little while. And I wish you great luck and fortune and positive results in whatever it is you're working on, trying to fix, trying to make. Oh, good luck and show it off. Come to MeWe. Come to the MeWe page. Show off your work. Come to the MeWe DIY Tool Shed group. Become part of the group and just talk about what you're working on over there. You're more than welcome. Come and participate. Be a DIY attitude. Okay? Thank y'all for being here. I hope you enjoy finding out more about the Worx Oscillating Multi Tool, and I'll talk with you live on Saturday. All right, folks.